When HOA President Patricia called police on my 8-year-old daughter for being bald in public, she didn't know two things. Emma lost her hair to cancer chemotherapy, and I'm the police officer responding to her call. Some people learned the hard way that cruelty has consequences. Before watching full story, comment below from where you're watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. My name is Officer Mike Thompson. I have served this community for 15 years. I thought I had seen everything. Robberies, domestic disputes, accidents, but nothing prepared me for the day my world fell apart. Daddy, why does my head hurt so much? My 8-year-old daughter Emma asked me one morning. Her beautiful blonde curls were messy from sleep and her green eyes looked tired. Probably just a headache. Sweetie? I said, kissing her forehead. But deep down something felt wrong. Emma had been getting headaches for weeks. She was always tired, even after sleeping all night. My wife Sarah was worried, too. Mike, we need to take her to the doctor, she said. This isn't normal. The doctor's visit changed our lives forever. After many tests, scans, and sleepless nights, Dr. Martinez called us into his office. His face was serious. Sarah held my hand tightly. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, I have difficult news, he began. Emma has been diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It's a type of blood cancer that affects children. The world stopped spinning. Sarah started crying immediately. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. My little girl, my princess, had cancer. Is she going to die? Sarah whispered through her tears. With treatment, many children recover completely, Dr. Martinez explained. But the treatment is very intense. Chemotherapy will make her sick. She will lose her hair. It will be a long, hard fight. That night, I held Emma as she slept. Her curls felt so soft under my fingers. I cried quietly, thinking about how those beautiful curls would soon be gone. The next few months were the hardest of our lives. Emma started chemotherapy immediately. The medicine that was supposed to save her made her so sick. She threw up every day. She stopped eating her favorite foods. Her energy disappeared. But the hardest part was watching her hair fall out. It started slowly, just a few strands on her pillow. Then more and more. Emma would find clumps of hair on her shoulders. Daddy, why is my hair coming out? She asked me one evening, holding a handful of blonde curls. I knelt down to her level. The medicine that's fighting the bad cells in your body also affects your hair. But it's temporary, baby. When you get better, it will grow back even more beautiful. Will I look scary? She asked, tears in her eyes. You could never look scary to me, I said, hugging her tight. You are the most beautiful girl in the world with or without hair. When most of her hair had fallen out, Sarah and I decided to shave off what was left. Emma sat bravely in the chair as Sarah used the clippers. We all cried together, but we also laughed. Emma was so brave. I look like a warrior princess, Emma said, looking in the mirror at her bald head. Yes, you do. I agreed. The strongest, bravest warrior princess in the whole world. We bought Emma beautiful scarves and hats, but sometimes she liked to go without them, especially at home. She said it felt better when her head wasn't covered. 6 months into Emma's treatment, we had to move. Our old apartment was too expensive now that Sarah had to quit her job to take care of Emma full-time. We found a small house in Maple Grove, a quiet neighborhood with tree-lined streets and well-kept lawns. The house was perfect for us. It had a small yard where Emma could play when she felt well enough. The neighbors seemed friendly when we moved in, but there was one neighbor who made me uncomfortable from the start. Mrs. Patricia Winters lived in the house directly across from us. She was the president of the Homeowners Association. She was always watching from her window, taking notes about what neighbors were doing wrong. On our first day, she came over with a thick folder of HOA rules. Welcome to Maple Grove, she said with a fake smile. I'm Patricia Winters, HOA president. Here are all the community guidelines. Please read them carefully. We maintain very high standards here. I flipped through the folder. There were rules about everything. Lawn height, flower colors, fence styles, even what time you could put out garbage. This is quite a list, I said politely. Yes, it is, Patricia replied proudly. That's how we keep property values high and maintain our community's reputation. I hope you'll be the type of residents who follow rules. Something about the way she said your type bothered me, but I ignored it. Emma was doing better in our new home. She loved the backyard and enjoyed sitting outside on sunny days. Because of her treatment, she was very sensitive to cold, so she often wore just a light hat or sometimes nothing on her head when it was warm. One morning, Emma was playing with her dolls on the front porch. She had taken off her hat because the sun felt good on her head. I was inside getting ready for work. The doorbell rang. It was Patricia Winters. "Officer Thompson," she began. "I need to discuss something with you." "What can I help you with, Mrs. Winters?" "It's about your daughter. Yesterday and today, she's been outside with no hair covering. Disturbing. Children in the neighborhood are asking questions. Parents are concerned." I felt my blood pressure rising. "Mrs. Winters, my daughter has cancer. She's undergoing chemotherapy which causes hair loss. She's not doing anything wrong by existing." "I understand that," she said, though her tone suggested otherwise. "But surely she could wear a hat or scarf when she's visible to the community. It's about maintaining standards." "Standards?" I repeated, trying to keep my voice calm. "My 8-year-old daughter fighting for her life doesn't meet your standards." "Don't twist my words," Patricia snapped. "I'm talking about appearance standards for our community. Surely you understand." "I understand that my daughter has every right to be comfortable in her own yard," I replied firmly. "She's not violating any laws or reasonable rules." Patricia's expression hardened. "Well, we'll see about that. The HOA has very clear guidelines about maintaining community standards. I suggest you review them again." After she left, I was shaking with anger. How dare she suggest that my sick daughter was somehow inappropriate or wrong? Emma came inside a few minutes later. "Daddy, why was the lady looking at me like that?" she asked. "Don't worry about her, sweetheart," I said, hugging her. "Some people just don't understand. You haven't done anything wrong." But I could see in Emma's eyes that Patricia's stare had made her feel bad about herself. Over the next few weeks, Patricia made our lives miserable. Every time Emma was outside, Patricia would appear at her window, staring and taking notes. She started sending us official HOA violation notices for ridiculous things. Lawn height exceeds community standards by half an inch. Garden hose left visible from street view. Trash can retrieve 30 minutes after pickup time limit. Each violation came with threats of fines. I knew what she was really doing, harassing us because of Emma's appearance. The worst part was how it affected Emma. She started asking to stay inside all the time. "I don't want to go outside, Daddy," she said one afternoon. "The mean lady is always watching me." "Emma, you have every right to enjoy our yard," I told her. "Don't let anyone make you feel like you have to hide." But it broke my heart to see my brave warrior princess becoming afraid to be herself in her own home. Sarah was getting angry too. "Mike, can't you do something about this woman? Use your authority as a police officer." "I can't abuse my position," I explained, "but I can document everything she's doing. If she crosses a legal line, I'll have evidence." I started keeping detailed records of every interaction, every violation notice, every time Patricia stared at Emma. I had a feeling I would need this documentation. Fortunately, not everyone in the neighborhood was like Patricia. Our next-door neighbors, the Johnsons, were wonderful. Mrs. Johnson often brought Emma cookies and told her how brave and beautiful she was. "That little girl is an inspiration," Mrs. Johnson told me one day. "The way she smiles despite everything she's going through, it gives me hope." The Martinez family across the street also showed support. Their teenage daughter Sophia would come over to play games with Emma and never once asked about her hair or made her feel different. Even some HOA members started distancing themselves from Patricia's behavior. Mr. Chin, the HOA treasurer, approached me privately. "Officer Thompson, I want you to know that not all board members agree with how Patricia is handling this situation," he said quietly. "Your daughter is a sweet child, and she deserves to feel welcome here." "Thank you, Mr. Chin. That means a lot. Patricia has been difficult lately. She's always been strict about rules, but this feels personal and wrong." I appreciated the support, But Patricia continued her harassment campaign. The situation reached a crisis point on a warm Saturday afternoon in September. Emma was having one of her better days. The chemotherapy cycle was between treatments, so she had more energy than usual. "Daddy, can I play in the sprinkler?" she asked excitedly. "Of course, baby," I said. It had been weeks since she'd felt well enough to play actively. Emma put on her bathing suit and ran out to the backyard. She was laughing and splashing in the sprinkler, acting like a normal 8-year-old for the first time in months. Sarah and I watched from the porch, our hearts full of joy to see our daughter happy. Because she was playing in water, Emma didn't wear a hat or scarf. The sun felt good on her head and she was comfortable and free. That's when Patricia appeared at our fence. "This is unacceptable," she shouted. "She cannot be outside like that where people can see her." Emma froze in the middle of playing. The joy disappeared from her face instantly. "Get inside right now." Patricia continued yelling. "You're scaring the other children. This is a decent neighborhood." Emma started crying and ran toward the house. I stepped between her and Patricia. "That's enough," I said firmly. "You have no right to yell at my daughter. I have every right to maintain community standards." Patricia shot back. "That child is a disturbance and an eyesore." The words hit me like a physical blow. An eyesore? She's 8 years old with cancer. "I don't care what her soba story is," Patricia said coldly. "Rules are rules. She needs to cover up or stay inside." Sarah had taken Emma inside and I could hear my daughter sobbing. My hands were shaking with rage. "You are a cruel, heartless woman," I told Patricia. "My daughter is fighting for her life and you're worried about your property values." "Save the drama," she replied. "This is about maintaining a quality community. If you can't follow simple guidelines, maybe this neighborhood isn't right for you." That night, Emma wouldn't eat dinner. She sat quietly, her eyes red from crying. "Daddy, am I really scary?" she asked in a small voice. I knelt beside her chair and took her hands. "Emma, look at me. You are not scary. You are not an eyesore. You are beautiful, brave, and perfect exactly as you are. That woman is wrong and she was cruel." "Then why did she say those things?" "Some people have hearts that don't work right," I explained. "They can't see beauty and bravery when it's right in front of them." The next Monday, I was working an afternoon shift when my phone rang. It was Sarah and she was crying. "Mike, you need to come home right now," she sobbed. "What happened? Is Emma okay?" Patricia called Child Protective Services. Sarah said she told them we were neglecting Emma by not properly clothing her. She said Emma was being exposed inappropriately in public. My blood went cold. "Where's Emma now?" Inside, terrified. The CPS worker was actually very understanding once I explained about the cancer, but Emma thinks she's in trouble. She thinks we might get in trouble because of her. I left work immediately and drove home faster than I should have. I found Emma hiding in her bedroom closet crying. "I'm sorry, Daddy," she whispered when I found her. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I'll wear my hat all the time now. I'll stay inside." Seeing my warrior princess broken like this was the final straw. Patricia Winters had crossed every line there was to cross. "Emma, you have nothing to be sorry for," I said firmly. "You did absolutely nothing wrong. But Daddy is going to make sure this never happens again." That evening, after Emma was asleep, I sat at my computer and started making phone calls. As a police officer, I knew people. I knew how systems worked, and I knew that Patricia Winters was about to learn that actions have consequences. First, I contacted my colleague, Detective Susan Rodriguez, who specialized in harassment cases. "Susan, I need a favor." I began and explained the entire situation. "Mike, this is horrible," she said after hearing the story. "What that woman is doing could constitute criminal harassment, especially targeting a sick child. What are my options?" "Well, let's start by documenting everything officially. The CPS call might actually work in your favor. False reporting is a crime, and if we can establish a pattern of harassment, we might have grounds for stalking charges." Next, I called my lawyer friend David Park. "David, hypothetically, if someone were systematically harassing a family with a sick child, what civil remedies might be available?" "Hypothetically," David said with a knowing tone, "that could be grounds for several lawsuits, harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation if false statements were made to authorities. Why do you ask? I explained the situation in detail. Mike, I'm so sorry you and your family are going through this. Let me research HOA law too. There might be limits to what they can actually enforce, especially when it conflicts with anti-discrimination principles. Then I made a call that Patricia would never see coming. I contacted Sergeant Williams, the supervisor of our community relations department. Sarge, I need to report potential civil rights violations in my neighborhood. I said, civil rights violations? Tell me more. A neighbor has been systematically harassing my family because my daughter lost her hair to cancer treatment. She's filed false reports, violated our privacy, and has been creating a hostile environment based on medical condition discrimination. That's serious, Mike. Medical condition discrimination can fall under federal disability protections. Let me connect you with our civil rights liaison. By the end of the evening, I had set several wheels in motion. Patricia thought she was just dealing with a regular resident she could bully. She had no idea she was about to face the full weight of justice. Over the next week, I worked systematically to build an ironclad case. I gathered photos of every ridiculous violation notice Patricia had sent. A video footage from our security cameras showing her watching and photographing Emma. Witness statements from supportive neighbors. A documentation of Emma's medical condition from Dr. Martinez. Records of the false CPS report. I also discovered something interesting when I researched HOA law. Patricia had been overstepping her authority for months. Many of the violations she cited weren't actually in the official HOA guidelines. She had been making up rules as she went along. Mr. Chin, the HOA treasurer, agreed to meet with me privately. Officer Thompson, I need to be honest with you. He said, several board members have been concerned about Patricia's behavior lately. She's been acting like she has absolute power, but that's not how HOAs are supposed to work. What do you mean? Well, for example, there's nothing in our official rules about children's hair or head coverings. Patricia has been claiming there are appearance standards, but those don't exist in our legally filed documents. This was important information. Patricia had been essentially making up rules to justify her harassment. Mr. Chin, would you be willing to provide official documentation of the actual HOA rules? Of course. And Officer Thompson, several of us are planning to call for Patricia's removal as president. This has gone too far. Friday morning, Patricia made the mistake I had been waiting for. She called 911. 911, what's your emergency? I need police immediately at 1247 Maple Lane. Patricia's voice was recorded saying there's a child outside who appears to be neglected or abused. She's completely bald and the parents are allowing her to be seen by the whole neighborhood. It's disturbing and inappropriate. The dispatch came over my radio. Unit 23, respond to possible child neglect call at 1247 Maple Lane. I smiled grimly. 1247 Maple Lane was my address and I was Unit 23. I called my supervisor. Lieutenant Davis, I just got dispatched to a call at my own address. The complainant appears to be making a false report about my daughter's cancer treatment. Your daughter with cancer? Lieutenant Davis was familiar with Emma's situation because I had taken time off for her treatments. Someone called the police because of her chemotherapy hair loss. Yes, sir. This is the same neighbor who's been harassing us for months. I have extensive documentation. Respond to the call, Mike, but I'm sending backup for witness purposes. This sounds like it's going to be interesting. I drove home in my patrol car, knowing that Patricia would be watching from her window, waiting for the police to arrive and vindicate her complaints. I pulled into my driveway in full uniform. Patricia immediately came out of her house, probably expecting to meet with an officer who would take her side. Her face when she saw me getting out of the patrol car was priceless. Confusion, then realization, then fear. Officer Martinez, my backup, arrived just as Patricia reached my driveway. Good afternoon, Mrs. Winters, I said professionally. I'm Officer Thompson, responding to your 911 call about alleged child neglect at this address. Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a fish. She couldn't speak. This is my house, Mrs. Winters. And the neglected child you reported is my 8-year-old daughter who is undergoing chemotherapy for leukemia. Officer Martinez was taking notes, recording everything. I didn't know. Patricia stammered. You didn't know what? That calling in false reports is a crime. That harassing a family with a sick child might have consequences. Sarah came out of the house, followed by Emma, who was wearing one of her pretty scarves. Is this the child you reported as being neglected or abused? I asked Patricia officially. Emma looked small and scared. Patricia couldn't even look at her. Mrs. Winters, making false reports to police is a misdemeanor offense. I continued. Harassment is also illegal. And what you've been doing to this family constitutes both. I was just trying to maintain community standards, Patricia said weakly. Whose standards say that a child fighting cancer should be hidden away? Officer Martinez asked. By this time, several neighbors had come out to watch. The Johnsons, the Martinez family, Mr. Chin, and others were all witnessing Patricia's humiliation. Mrs. Winters, I said formally, you're going to receive several citations today. Filing a false police report, harassment, and violating municipal anti-discrimination ordinances. I pulled out my citation book and began writing. But more importantly, I continued, my daughter wants to say something to you. Emma stepped forward, still small, but suddenly looking very brave. Mrs. Winters, Emma said in her clear 8-year-old voice, I have cancer. The medicine that saves my life made my hair fall out. But I'm still a person. I'm still a little girl who likes to play outside. You made me feel bad about being sick. And that's not fair. Patricia started crying. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. Emma interrupted. You said I was scary and an eyesore, but I'm not. I'm brave and I'm fighting to stay alive. Several neighbors started clapping. Mrs. Johnson was wiping tears from her eyes. The citations were just the beginning. Over the next 2 weeks, Patricia faced multiple consequences for her actions. Criminal charges. Filing a false police report, misdemeanor. Criminal harassment, misdemeanor. A violation of municipal anti-discrimination ordinance. Civil consequences. The HOA board voted unanimously to remove Patricia as president. As several neighbors filed complaints against her with the HOA, but we filed a civil lawsuit for harassment and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Professional consequences. If Patricia worked as a real estate agent and her behavior violated professional ethics codes, as several clients canceled their contracts with her after the story spread, her real estate license was suspended pending investigation. Community consequences. The local newspaper ran a story about the situation. Patricia became known throughout the community as the woman who harassed the child with cancer, and many neighbors stopped speaking to her entirely. But the most satisfying consequence came from an unexpected source. 2 weeks after my confrontation with Patricia, Emma had an idea. Daddy, I want to do something special, she said. What's that, sweetheart? I want to have a party in our front yard for all the kids who are sick like me. Sarah and I looked at each other. What kind of party? A bald and beautiful party, Emma said with a big smile. For kids who lost their hair because of medicine. We can play games and eat cake and show everyone that being bald doesn't make us scary. My heart nearly burst with pride. My daughter wanted to turn her painful experience into something positive for other children. That sounds amazing, Emma. How can we make it happen? We contacted the Children's Hospital where Emma received treatment. Dr. Martinez helped us connect with other families who had children undergoing chemotherapy. The hospital's social worker thought it was a wonderful idea. We planned the party for a Saturday afternoon in our front yard. The same yard where Patricia had told Emma she was an eyesore. The day of the party, 23 children came, all in various stages of cancer treatment. Some were completely bald like Emma. Others had patchy hair growing back. Some wore colorful scarves and hats. All of them were beautiful and brave. We had games, balloons, cake, and face painting. The children laughed and played together, free from judgment and stares. Parents shared stories and supported each other. The most amazing part was watching Emma. She was the hostess, making sure every child felt welcome and special. She had transformed from a scared little girl hiding in her house to a confident young advocate for other sick children. Right in the middle of the party, Patricia appeared at the edge of our yard. The parents all recognized her from the news stories and conversations stopped. Emma saw her first. Instead of running away, she walked directly up to Patricia. "Are you here to tell us we're scary again?" Emma asked boldly. Patricia knelt down to Emma's eye level. She had been crying. "No, sweetie," Patricia said softly. "I came to tell you I'm sorry. I was very wrong about everything I said and did." "Why were you so mean to me?" Patricia took a shaky breath. "I was scared and angry about things that had nothing to do with you. My husband died from cancer 2 years ago, and seeing you reminded me of how scared I was. But that's not your fault. And I had no right to be mean to you." Emma considered this seriously. "Did your husband's hair fall out, too?" "Yes, it did." "Was he scary?" "No," Patricia whispered. "He was the bravest person I ever knew." "Then why did you think I was scary?" Patricia couldn't answer because she was crying too hard. Emma, with the pure heart of a child, reached out and hugged Patricia. "I forgive you," Emma said simply. "But you have to promise never to be mean to sick kids again." "Promise." Patricia sobbed. "Promise." After Patricia's apology, things in the neighborhood changed dramatically. Patricia moved away 2 months later, unable to face the daily reminder of her actions. Before she left, she did something surprising. She donated $10,000 to the children's cancer ward at the hospital in Emma's name. The new HOA president, Mr. Chin, immediately rewrote the community guidelines to explicitly prohibit discrimination based on medical conditions or physical appearance. The new rules specifically stated that children had the right to play freely in their yards regardless of their appearance. Emma's Bald and Beautiful Party became an annual event. The second year, over 50 families attended. Emma's story inspired other communities to hold similar events. She even got interviewed on the local TV news where she told other sick kids, "Don't let anyone make you feel bad for being brave." My own department used our experience as a training example for officers dealing with discrimination and harassment cases. I started speaking at community events about standing up for vulnerable people, even when it's difficult. The most beautiful part of the story is Emma's recovery. After 18 months of treatment, Dr. Martinez had wonderful news. Emma's latest scans show no signs of cancer, he announced with a huge smile. "She's officially in remission." We all cried tears of joy. Emma had won her biggest battle. Her hair grew back curly and thick, even more beautiful than before. But she often still chose to wear scarves and hats in solidarity with other children who were still fighting. "I want them to know they're not alone," she explained. Emma started a support group for children with cancer at the hospital. At age 9, she was helping other kids feel brave and beautiful regardless of how they looked. This experience taught our family many important lessons about courage. Real courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right, even when you're afraid. Emma showed courage every day of her treatment. I showed courage by standing up to Patricia's harassment. About compassion, we learned that hurt people often hurt others. Patricia's cruelty came from her own pain and fear. While that didn't excuse her behavior, understanding it helped us eventually forgive her. About community, most people are good and kind when given the chance to help. Our neighbors, Emma's doctors, even strangers who heard our story, they rallied around us when we needed support. About justice, sometimes you have to fight for what's right. I used my knowledge and position to protect my family, but anyone can stand up to bullies and discrimination when they see it. About healing. Physical healing was just part of Emma's journey. Emotional healing came from reclaiming her power, helping other children, and refusing to be ashamed of her appearance. Today, Emma is 11 years old and cancer-free. She's in 6th grade, plays soccer, and loves art class. Her hair is long and curly again, but she keeps it in a ponytail most days because, as she says, hair is just hair. What matters is what's inside your head, not what's on top of it. She still organizes the annual Bald and Beautiful Party, which has grown into a major fundraising event for childhood cancer research. Last year, they raised $25,000. Patricia never returned to our neighborhood, but she did send Emma a letter on the 3rd anniversary of that awful day. In it, She thanked Emma for teaching her about courage and forgiveness. She had started volunteering at a cancer support center in her new city. Our neighborhood is now known as one of the most welcoming and inclusive communities in the city. The story of how we stood up to discrimination has inspired other families to fight back against bullies and bigots. I asked Emma what she would want other kids to know if they ever read this story. Here's what she said. If you're sick and people are mean to you, remember that you're not alone. Tell a grown-up who loves you and they'll help you fight back. Don't ever hide who you are because someone else is scared or mean. If you see someone being mean to a sick kid, stand up for them. Be their friend. Invite them to play. Make them feel normal and special at the same time. And if you're a grown-up reading this, please protect kids like me. We're already fighting big battles. We shouldn't have to fight mean people, too. Cancer taught me that I'm stronger than I ever knew. But it also taught me that the strongest thing you can do is ask for help when you need it and help others when they need it. I'm not just a cancer survivor. I'm a warrior princess. Just like my daddy always said, Emma's story didn't end with her recovery. It created ripples that spread far beyond our small neighborhood. The hospital now has an Emma's Warriors program that provides emotional support and advocacy training for families dealing with childhood cancer. They teach parents how to stand up to discrimination and harassment while their children are vulnerable. Our police department created new protocols for responding to calls involving medical discrimination. Officers now receive training on recognizing harassment disguised as legitimate complaints. The state legislature passed Emma's Law, which makes harassment based on medical conditions or treatment-related appearance a specific criminal offense with enhanced penalties. Most importantly, Emma herself has become an advocate and speaker. She visits schools to talk about kindness and acceptance. She speaks at medical conferences about the patient experience. She testifies before lawmakers about the need to protect vulnerable children. I used to think cancer was the worst thing that could happen to me, Emma said in her speech at the state capitol. But I learned that the worst thing is when people are cruel to you when you're already fighting for your life. The best thing is when people choose to love you and stand up for you instead. When Emma speaks, grown-ups cry. Children cheer. Hearts change. That's the real victory in this story. Patricia's cruelty could have broken Emma's spirit. Instead, it forged her into a warrior for justice and kindness. Sometimes the worst experiences in our lives become the foundation for our greatest contributions to the world. Emma's bald head, which Patricia saw as an eyesore, became a symbol of courage for thousands of children. Her scars became her strength. Her vulnerability became her power. Her pain became her purpose. And that more than any legal victory or public apology is true justice. Emma teaches us that we can choose how we respond to cruelty. We can hide or we can fight back. We can become bitter or we can become better. We can let bullies define us or we can define ourselves. My daughter chose to shine her light brighter when people tried to dim it. She chose to lift others up when someone tried to tear her down. She chose love over fear, courage over hiding, hope over despair. Patricia Winters thought she was protecting her neighborhood from an eyesore. Instead, she unleashed a force of nature who would protect countless other children from people just like her. In the end, Emma didn't just beat cancer. She beat hatred with love, fear with courage, and cruelty with compassion. That's my warrior princess. That's my daughter. That's Emma. And her story is just